everyone, Michelle here. Welcome to Gardening TLC. Let's tackle some garden problems. You guys have been sending me your challenges, and today's agenda, we are going to talk about 4 different ones. We're going to talk about gardening around a septic tank and whether or not you should even be doing that. We're going to talk about gardening in the shade that's created by a big overhang on the house. We're also going to talk about what to plant on a slope, and we have a fence, a really, really long fence that we want to landscape in front of in hot blazing sun. Those are the 4 things that we're going to tackle today. These are everyday problems that everyday people face, and hopefully we can help these people and you too. Oh my gosh, it is so nice out here. It is 71 degrees right now. It is gorgeous. This is what we call fake spring, but I'll take it, and I'm going to come outside and enjoy the weather. We're going to get cold again next week, and so this will be over. Hopefully everything that's sprouting out won't croak. Hopefully the temperatures don't dip too bad. It doesn't look like it's going to be crazy cold, but we'll see how the spring progresses. We are less than a week away from the first day of spring. But today we are going to tackle some gardening challenges that you guys have been sending in. This is part 2 of What Would Michelle Do, and we are going to jump right in. We are going to start with Rhonda Esta 3873, and here is her dilemma. I have an overhang of my house that completely shades the area that is about 9 feet long and 3 feet deep. I am looking to make a shade garden in that area. I would love to make it pollinator friendly if possible. I would love your help. It is a blank slate right now. She sent me a picture, so that was great that I was able to have a picture, and I did a little design. Now, she lives in Zone 5 in Orlando Hills, Illinois, which is the south suburbs of Chicago, and let's see if we can come up with a solution for her. I have actually encountered this problem a few times in my landscaping career where I had to plant something underneath a big, deep overhang that was low on the house. So let's check it out. Well, she was right. It is a blank slate, so we've got something fresh to start with. I took the pot away, but I'm going to bring it back in just a minute. And I'm going to recut in a nice trenched edge so that I've got a nice clean line defining the bed. And if it's possible to bring it out so that it's a little bit wider, maybe 4 feet, that would be better. But we can live with 3 feet if we have to. Let's take a look at the design. See, isn't that pretty? I used 4 plants and that's it. And then I brought the pot back in, put it in a different place, and you could put whatever you want in it. You could use a coleus because that will grow in shade. I've used impatiens because you know me, I like them because I can change the color and they give me flower power and they have that nice mounding habit. But let's take a look at the individual plants that I put in this. I could go on and on about this shrub. I love the Diravilla Kodiaks. She wants pollinators. And so guess what? This is a bush honeysuckle. Now, it's not one that's invasive. It stays where you put it, grows in zone 4 through 7. It will grow all the way from full sun to full shade. You got to love this thing. It's going to get 3 to 4 feet high by 3 to 4 feet wide. And in her circumstance, I bet it only gets like 3 by 3. This is one of the best shade tolerant shrubs I think that there is out there. It has these little clusters of like honeysuckle flowers, and that's what attracts all of your beautiful pollinators. It's drought tolerant once it gets established, and it gets beautiful fall color. What's not to love about this thing? I love this shrub. I like the whole series, and you're going to see me use another one in a little bit for another solution. Sometimes simple is better, and the Hosta Blue Ivory, it is beautiful, and this gives me a blue element. Guess what? Grows in zone 3 through 9, 14 to 16 inches high and wide. Look at that stunning foliage. The ivory margins say it all. Look at that. It's blue leaves. Oh, it's gorgeous, and it gets the lavender blooms on it, and guess what those attract? Yup, bees, hummingbirds. You got it. Another pollinator attractor. I'd like to think that that window opens to a laundry room. There's a vent right there, but I know I could be off my rocker. But either way, I am going to take advantage of the window by planting something that smells great, and that would be a clethra. This thing gets fragrant white flowers in midsummer. It grows about 3 by 3. It has a beautiful mounding habit. It really doesn't take anything to take care of it. It gets yellow foliage in the fall, but in the summer, it's got these dark, glossy leaves. It is a really, really nice shrub that will grow in full shade. Zone 4 through 9, I would definitely put this one in. This one is the Sugar Tina by Proven Winners. The last plant I'm putting in is a Brunnera, and I would use Jack Frost. It is a smaller cultivar, only getting 12 to 15 inches high and wide. Grows in zone 3 through 8. They're rabbit resistant. They get blue flowers, and the ones on the Jack Frost are like this sky blue in the spring, usually like the end of May, beginning of June. When those are done, you just cut them off, and you're left with this beautiful plant with this beautiful silver foliage with this green veining, and it is heat tolerant, drought tolerant, grows well in full shade. a great addition to this little garden. How sweet are those flowers? Isn't that gorgeous? All right, Rhonda, I hope you like this. This, I hope, checks all the boxes that you asked for. This is what I would do if it was my house. And I got all of the pollinator attractors in there. I've got different color foliage in there. I also have really super easy stuff. If I had to guess how much this would cost, I'd say between $150 and $200, depending on where you live, if you're getting it on sale, what size you're buying, and if you're doing all the work yourself. Make sure you cut in that nice trenched edge and even out that bed, and make sure you get all the weeds out before you plant so that you don't deal with those later. All right. If this helped her, hopefully it helps somebody else out there too. Let's move on to problem number 2. All right, number 2 on our list is from Sandy Schneider. She also lives in Zone 5, and she has a steep bank besides the driveway, probably 6 feet high and 25 feet long, with around a 30-degree angle. That's hard to visualize, but she sent me some pictures, and I'll show you those in a second. We currently mow it, but we are aging, and it is no longer safe for us to do. At the top of the bank, we have various natural trees. The bank continues to the flat lawn and home. How can we landscape the bank? Now, the one thing I don't know is if this is sun or shade, so I've given her a couple different options, and I've given her some things that will grow in either. Now, this, I think I'm going to keep nice and simple. If they choose to do this, this would be a great solution for them. So let's take a look at the area, and then I'll come up with my solutions. So this is the first picture that she sent me. Now remember, this is New Hampshire, Zone 5. You can see the road right there. All right, you can also see the embankment that she's talking about right here. And then to the right is a fringe tree. All right, so you remember the fringe tree that was on the right covered in snow? Well, now the fringe tree is on the left, and we have this embankment here. We do have 3 little roses right here that she's probably going to keep, but I believe this is the whole area that she wants to landscape. Now, I'm not going to landscape this. I'm actually just going to give you some solutions on what I would do in this area to make it easier. If this was my house and I had an embankment that I had to plant on, I would actually use a ground cover juniper. 1, I don't have to prune them. And 2, they're beautiful. I would use the Nana. It's probably my favorite. It grows in zone 4 through 9. And what I like about it is that it has this nice dense mounding habit, and the branches radiate from the center of the shrub as it grows out. It only grows about 12 inches high. It's got little bitty needles on it. And when they come out in the spring, they're this really pretty bright green. Then as it ages into summer, they kind of get this little bit of a blue-green hue to them. They only grow 6 feet wide, so they're not crazy big, and you'd probably need a few of them to fill the embankment. But what I like about it is you can space them and interplant other things through them so that you've got a taller structure with them. You don't have to prune them, easy to grow, low maintenance, and guess what? For erosion control, the roots on these guys are fabulous. And there it is again, my Diravilla. I love these things. They're so easy to grow, and they are so compact. They grow in shade. They grow in sun. They don't have to be pruned. They have beautiful foliage on them. They're pollinator attractors, low maintenance. I love these things. Now, in this one here, I would plant the Diravilla orange or the red. I like either one. They're going to grow anywhere from 3 to 4 feet high and wide, and they grow in zone 4 through 7. What's not to love about this shrub? I would interplant them with the junipers to give me some beautiful color. And the reason I'm choosing this is because later on in the comment, she had mentioned that they thought about planting some small Japanese maples, but they didn't want to wait for them to grow up. Well, guess what? This kind of gives you that beautiful color that you're looking for, and that's why I would put it in there. Now, if you want just an itty bitty bit of maintenance, you could do the Firelight tidbits. Believe it or not, hydrangeas have good root systems, and they are also really good on an embankment. Now, I would do the little ones because I wouldn't want it to overpower what's going on. I like the Firelight tidbit. It is a paniculata hydrangea, which means it can handle more sun. They grow in zone 3 through 8, and they only get about 3 by 3. These guys get big, luscious panicles of white mophead flowers, usually right around the end of June, beginning of July, but they get so many of them, it kind of obscures all of the foliage that's on there. Then as the summer progresses, they get like bright pink and red tones on them. They will color up all the way until frost. And then your only maintenance on these is in the spring, right before the bud begins to swell. You're going to cut them back by like a third. That's it. That's your maintenance. So I think this would be an easy, beautiful one to grow to give you some flower power if you wanted that. Now, if you have enough sun to grow these, because these grow better with more sun, these would be a great choice. But if you have more shade, I have another one that you could do too. I don't know if there's more shade or sun in this bed, so I wanted to make sure I offered a second choice on the hydrangea, and I would offer a smooth hydrangea. So I like the Invincible Mini Mauvette. This one also grows 3x3. The biggest difference is the shape of the leaves and also the shape of the flower. So the flower is more like a round mop head. Now, when it comes out, it's white. They bloom about the same time, but as this one ages, the flowers are more like a mauvey pink more than a dark pink. So it's got more of a subtle color going on with it. You can cut these back as well in early spring, by a third, or if you want to cut them back in the fall, like 18 inches from the ground, you can do that as well. Even if you hack it terribly, these will still come back and grow and bloom the next year. They bloom on new wood. So I think either one of these would work. So I would keep whatever I'm doing on the embankment very simple. I wouldn't go into a bunch of choices and a whole bunch of stuff or a whole bunch of perennials that's going to cause work. If I'm going to plant it up, I want it to be easy and I want to do it once and be done with it. And if I have to do any maintenance, I want it to be as simple as possible. So if this was my house, that's actually what I would do, is intermingle the hydrangea, the Diravilla, and the junipers on the embankment for easy maintenance and beauty all at the same time. Gardening on a slope can be difficult, so I hope that these will be solutions that can help her or maybe somebody else out there. It's not the only thing you can do, but I was trying to think of something that was really easy to, one, put in, and two, maintain. So these are my solutions. I hope they help. Number 3 on the agenda today is from Tracy Adkins, and she lives in zone 8. So that's a hot zone. And this is a really super long fence line, about 60 feet long. And then she said the bed is anywhere from 15 to 20 feet wide in hot blazing sun. And here's what's really cool. I have another one with almost the same conditions, except I don't know what zone she's in, but it's Lana MOLCZYK 5139. I want to plant up our wood fence line. Runs north to south, 100 feet long. And I had asked her why and where it was. And it says the sun passes the house just after midday and it gets a lot of hot afternoon sun. And I don't know what zone it is. So hopefully the solutions that I'm giving to Tracy will work for you too. So let's take a look. Now that is a fence, and we are going to create something absolutely gorgeous in this. Now I'm not going to do a whole design. I'm going to take you through kind of my thought process of what I would do if this was my fence and I had to garden in hot afternoon sun, because you can go one of two ways. You can plan up the first part of what I'm going to talk about with very, very little to no maintenance, and you can add maintenance to it by adding perennials and different things in your color choice, and I'll make some recommendations for those as well. Okay, here's what we got. Tracy writes, the space is approximately 60 feet long by 20 feet wide. I need to leave approximately 5 feet from the fence to where the plants start. So we're already going to start 5 feet away from the fence, which is a good call because then you have a catwalk back there. That's very, very smart. All right, at the end of the space, all the way down to the left of the picture, right there, I circled it for you. She planted 3 Spartan junipers. So she's starting with little baby ones. And then she also planted a Colorado blue spruce. Now, she said we can move them around, but actually I would leave them right there. The other thing she says is that arborvitaes don't do well. Remember, she's in zone 8, hot afternoon sun. She does say that the area gets full sun, just a little bit of morning shade for a couple of hours. She said getting water to the area is not a problem. So she can water everything. And that's a good thing, because some of the things that I put in here to get everything going, she might want to run a drip line down this thing so that she can water it automatically. So let's talk about what I would do if this was my house. In my humble opinion, I think Spartan juniper is a good choice. They grow in zones 4 through 9, and they're pretty fast growers, and they are a handsome little tree. They have nice dark green needles on them. They don't have to be pruned. They're pretty densely branched. They have a nice columnar shape to them. They can handle droughts, so they do very well in these kinds of conditions. I also think that it is one that I want to add some more of. Let's take a look. As you can see, I have taken the liberty of growing everything up 10 to 15 years from now. I have added 5 more Spartan junipers. Now, one of the things that I like to do is buy my junipers like this in different sizes. So I might get a 6 foot and a 4 foot and an 8 foot. Now, eventually they will all be the same size, maybe in 15 to 20 years, but as they're growing, they're going to be different sizes until they all catch up. And that always looks so cool in the landscape. So I would recommend doing that. Now, she can start with smaller ones for sure, because it will definitely be cheaper. And I would always go for the bigger structured things first if that's what's in the budget. I would also add some more of those beautiful blue spruce. Now, I would actually do some smaller cultivars, and I would do a baby blue eyes and a fat Albert. Let's talk about what the specs are on those. Now, she already has a Colorado blue spruce that she planted all the way down on the left. Now, I don't know if it's a specific cultivar, but I'm assuming that it's just a regular Colorado blue spruce, and those can get 50 to 60 feet tall, 10 to 15 feet wide. I would add some more blue spruce to this, but I would choose two other cultivars that are smaller. The first one would be a baby blue eye spruce, only getting 15 to 30 feet tall, and 30 feet is a stretch on this one. It's a super slow grower. It only grows like an inch a year. It does have a beautiful silvery blue-green foliage on it, and it holds its color really super well in the winter. This will grow in zone 8. It wants good drainage, and it will grow in full sun. The other one I would try is a little bit smaller, actually. It's called a Fat Albert, and it's called Fat Albert because it gets kind of fat. They only grow 10 to 15 feet tall, and again, it's going to take it a super long time to get it any bigger than that. Super slow grower. So again, it's a wonderful choice to use, and if you're ever looking for a living Christmas tree, these are fabulous because when you're done, you can put it in the landscape. All right, you can see I've added some more things, and I've added yellow. So I've added some threadbare fall cypress and some Dobbs frosted junipers. I also added some ornamental grasses and two different kinds of hydrangeas. This is as far as I would go with like the bones of the bed, and you could leave it just like this to have a nice, carefree, easy maintenance bed. But if you wanted to add perennials to this, you certainly could, and I have like 5 little pockets where I would add those. My first choice for a hydrangea would be the Little Lime Fruit Punch. I would put these all the way to the left in front of like the blue spruce and the Spartan junipers that she already has planted there. And depending on how impactful she wants to make it, she could do 3, 5, 7, whatever she wants. Now, these guys emerge lime green. As they mature, they actually age just a little bit different. So let's take a look at that. Check these out. This is the color that they look like. They start that lime green, but then they progressively change through the summer. So they start to go pink, and then they go like this fruit punch color, but they start to age up the flower. So you have all 3 colors going on at the same time because they repeat bloom as well. I planted these 2 years ago in my garden, and I was impressed big time with them last year. They aren't even getting the right amount of sun, and they still colored up wonderfully. These guys get 5 by 5, zone 3 through 8, all the way to the left. This would look fabulous. The first choice is a Firelight. Now, these guys get huge, huge flowers, and the stems on them are really strong, so they hold them upright. I know because I have these growing at the garden center. The blooms come out creamy white, and then they age to this really vivid red. Lots of summer color on this one. Super easy to grow. And I'm telling you, if you have a black thumb, you can grow this one super easy. Pinky Winky is a pretty cool hydrangea. I really like it. It's got really big flowers on it, and when they emerge, they're white. But then as we start to go into fall, the flowers start to age, and so the bottom of them start to turn pink. But what's really cool is the flowers themselves continue to grow, and that's how you get such big flowers. So the tips will be white. So you always have this two-tone pink and white thing going on. I've seen the flowers on these guys get up to 16 inches. These are gorgeous. Again, it's a big hydrangea. It's got more of an open format as far as the flowers themselves on the stalk go. So I think it's really super pretty, and it's different. All right, I don't want to make it too hard on you, but I'm going to give you a third choice. This is a quick fire. I like the quick fires because they have that nice open flower, kind of like a lace cap that's open. The other thing is they bloom a month earlier than other hydrangeas, so you get the blooms really super early. These guys have a nice shape too. I have one growing in front of the store, and I really super like it. It is doing fabulous. Grows in full sun. I don't have to supplement water it. It's drought tolerant. They emerge white, the flowers do, and then they age to this pretty mauvey pink. And then as we go into fall, the mauve gets darker and darker and darker. And again, on all of these paniculatas, all you have to do is prune a third of them off at the beginning of spring, and you like kind of just prune right above a bud that's starting to swell and fertilize them once a year, and that's it. So even though I've given you a little bit of maintenance, it's not that much. All right, so what else would I do in this bed? Well, if I had to, I would actually add some yellow. So let's talk about the 2 yellows that I put in the bed. My first yellow is a golden mop threadbare fall cypress, and I have this all the way to the right in front of the blue spruce because the contrast will be fabulous. I actually have these growing at my store as well in front of the road, so I know they can handle hot, hot sun. They can handle the urban conditions of being out there at the road, and they are fabulous. Now, every one of them kind of look a little bit different. They have a nice mounting habit, but they have a little bit of a weeping habit too. The needles are like mop-like, and they have these stringy leaves, but they look so good. Now, I think that this is a fabulous contrast color. They're slow growing. They can reach 3 to 5 feet tall, 4 to 5 feet wide. They're all different. I have 2 of them planted, and they don't look the same. I like Dobbs frosted junipers, and I would plant those right in front of those Spartan junipers that we put in the middle of the bed because they're a different color green and they have these beautiful frosted tips, and it creates this nice contrast. The foliage itself, as it matures, gets kind of a green blue color on it. Now, this is considered kind of a ground cover juniper because they only get 15 to 18 inches high, so they're not hugging the ground, but they have a little bit of a mounding habit to it. So they get about 5 feet wide. So if you were to plant one forward and one back and one forward and one back, you'd kind of create a little bit of a layered look going on with these. Now, the other thing is if you wanted to put a layer of something between the Spartan junipers and these frosted junipers, you could, or you could just layer these two together. I think that these are fabulous. I have them grown at the store, and they are one of my favorite junipers to grow. All right, so there you go. If you want to leave it as is, you certainly could. But look, there's 5 little pockets where you can plant perennials in. Now, I would choose easy perennials. Let's talk about the ones that I would do. Let's say I wanted to plant up one of these little pockets. I would definitely choose sedum or tall stone crop. Most of them grow in zone 3 through 11. They're 18 to 24 inches tall and wide for the most part. There's a lot of different choices as far as which ones to choose to put in. They're drought tolerant. They're not bothered by bugs. They look good when they're blooming. It gives me a later fall bloomer, and the plant looks good when it's not blooming. So I would definitely choose sedum or tall stone crop to put in the bed. My next choice would be Nepeta or catmint, and I would either choose the Cat's Pajamas from Proven Winners or the Walker's Low Catmint. I would try to stick to ones that are between 18 and 24 inches tall and wide. These guys bloom super early. They continue to bloom. They have this beautiful lavender flower on them. For best results, you do want to cut them back once a year when they're done blooming so they get a flush of new growth. But if you didn't do that, they would still look okay. I would also choose an allium because, again, they're super easy to grow. And I would choose the summer blooming allium like the Serendipity or the Millennium. They get 18 to 24 inches tall and wide. Again, I have that nice purple billy ball on there. The plants look good all the time. Even the foliage, when it doesn't have flowers on it, looks good. And the foliage comes up. It's like one of the first things to come up in the spring. In fact, mine are already starting to peek up out of the ground. So I would choose this one too. All right, I don't know if I should choose this or not, but if I lived there, I would. I would find me a couple agave plants and grow them. Now, I don't know if they're hard to grow, easy to grow, a nuisance to grow. I just think they're cool. We actually have some at the garden center and we grow them as house plants. But I mean, you've seen those really big ones and they grow in zone 8 through 10. So why not? I would try to grow one. But I don't know. For those of you that have grown them, you probably know whether or not I'm making a good suggestion or not. Make sure you leave comments down below to let me know. No, 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 or yes, 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 because I just think these are cool. All right, there you go, Tracy. Those are my suggestions of what I would do if this was my fence in my yard and I had to fill it up. If you don't have the budget to do this all at once, break it down and do a little bit at a time. But do the trees first because they always take the longest to grow. They're the most expensive, and they are the structure of everything else that you're going to do. I hope you like the design. And for those of you out there that are looking to plant a long fence line, maybe this helps you too. Let's move on to the septic tank and see what we should be doing there. Let's talk about the proper way to landscape on and around your septic field. Now, as you can see in this picture, there's a drain field. That is a vital part of your septic system. And if that fails, guess what? Your system fails. So having the right landscaping around this is really super important. Trees, shrubs, things with deep roots, they can all affect your drain lines because they get down in there and you don't want that. Also, heavy equipment like skidsters, tractors, your car, you don't want to be driving those over your septic field because that can also make it fail. So what we always tell everybody is if you're having some kind of work done at your house and you've got big machinery coming, make sure they know you have a septic field and where it is. Also, if you don't know where your septic field is, you can actually call the health department and they probably have a plan of where it is. If they don't, you could also call a septic company to come out and show you where that is or help you find that. They might charge a fee for that, but I do know that those are two resources to help you find where it is if you don't know. So let's talk about what you can and cannot do. So I did some research on septic fields and what you can plant and whatnot. I mean, I know what I've always done, but I wanted to make sure that whatever I told you was credible. So I went to the internet and started doing some research. It was interesting how much crossing information that I got. So I finally settled on the EPA site, which I thought was a very credible site because it's a government organization. The Environmental Protection Agency has a nice little flyer that they put out that I've linked below that you can print that will tell you the do's and don'ts of what to do around your septic field and what to do around your septic tank. Now, they're telling you that you're not supposed to build anything whatsoever on top of your septic field, from a swing set to a sandbox to a driveway to a shed. All kinds of things are listed that you don't do on top of your septic field. The other thing is they make a list of recommendations of plants that you can plant around your septic field. So plant native drought tolerant plants. These are some of the best for your septic system and its drain field. So they're saying grasses. So lawn grass is great, but you could also plant fescue, ornamental grasses, or a wildflower meadow mix. That's something that you could put over the top of your septic field. Now, you can also use ground covers. So ground covers for the sun would be things like ajuga, carpet heathers, cotoneasters, ground ivy, periwinkle, and then they have some listed for shade too. So for shade, you could use bunchberry, ferns, mosses, sweet woodruff, wild ginger, and wintergreen. All right. Follow Septic Sam's landscaping do's and don'ts. This is the list of what you can and cannot do. Don't plant a vegetable garden on or near your drain field because guess what? What's in that drain field? Well, it's all the sewer stuff from your bathroom. All right. Put plastic sheets, bark, gravel, or other fill on your drain field. Don't put any of that on there. Don't reshape or fill the ground surface over the drain field and reserve area. However, just adding topsoil is generally okay as long as it's not more than a couple of inches. So you know how sometimes where your septic field is, the ground is bumpy? Don't hire somebody with a roller to come and roll the ground. That's bad. Okay. I've had people ask me to do that. That's why I bring it up. All right. Also, don't make any ponds on or near the septic system and the reserve area. The other thing is if you have a sprinkler system or you're thinking about putting one in, that has to be a specific distance away from your septic field. I want to say like 8 feet or something. So look that up, see what the ordinance in your city says. Now, here's some fun things. Here's what you can do. Do plant grass or keep existing native vegetation. These are the best covers for your drain field. Direct all surface drainage away from the septic system. Use shallow rooted plants. If you're going to plant like around the pipe or around the edges, make sure they're shallow rooted. Trees and shrub roots can grow into the drain lines, clogging and breaking them. Avoid water-loving plants. They say that you don't want to have any plants in the area around your septic field that have to have extra water. So all drought-tolerant plants, and then make sure your tank lid is secure. Isn't that a nice little flyer that you can have? So hopefully that answers your questions about what you can and cannot do. So you can create a little landscape to hide your little septic tank thing. They just need to be shallow rooted and need to be things that won't be invasive and grow into your field. So there you go. I had so much fun today. I hope you guys enjoyed some of the solutions that I came up with. This is not everything that you could possibly do. There's a lot of different solutions, and you could ask different people for different ideas, and they'd give you a different solution. I love doing this, though, and I love being able to help everyday problems for everyday people. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for our next video. It's going to be all about deer and rabbit-proof plants and shrubs. I am Michelle. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.